Now I'm driving to the Chipotle, and right in front of the Chipotle is a grocery store in the same parking lot, and there was a lady standing there with two little kids who I assume were her little boys, and she had a sign where she was asking for money because she didn't have money for gas according to her sign. So I parked my car, and then I go up to her because I had some time, and I asked her, can I buy you some lunch? Can I buy you and your kids some Chipotle? And she didn't really understand what I was saying because she didn't speak much English, and so I tried to use my hand signs, can I get you lunch from here, Chipotle? And she said yes. She seemed very excited. She said that she was very hungry. And then I said, what if I got you groceries from the grocery store? And she just lit up once she understood what I was saying. She said, I would love to get groceries. Her kids got very excited. And so that's what I did. I walked them inside the grocery store, and they were so excited to buy groceries. And this was when it really started to get to me. Because when was the last time that you got excited to be able to go to the grocery store to buy groceries? And these little kids, they were probably 5 or 6 or 7 years old. And they were literally jumping up and down that they could get things like vegetables and potatoes and some eggs and some meat. And they weren't buying alcohol, they weren't buying tobacco, it was just groceries. And I could see how excited these kids were. And you know, when they were standing in line, I don't get emotional very easily. I was standing there and I looked at them, and I had tears coming in my eyes. So I turned around and I just started blinking because it was crazy. It was just so sad that, you know, sometimes we take this for granted. What we have the opportunity to access, what we can purchase, and other people don't have that. And I saw my mom in that situation because I know the struggles that my mom had to go through. You know, when you're an immigrant coming to a new country, I don't know what her struggles were. I don't know everything that she went through. But you know, when you come to a new country, you're working your butt off trying to make things work. You don't know the culture, you don't know the people, you don't even know the language, and you're trying to make it work. It can be very difficult. And that's when it hit me. You know, I've been talking about financial education, but that moment really opened my eyes at that moment of how important it really is for us to understand the difference between a broke mindset, a majority mindset, and a minority mindset. Now, I'm not here to judge anything that she went through. I don't know what she went through. But, you know, when you're working a job and you have an income, there's 3 different ways that you can use your money, which will completely change the wealth that you see. I'm very fortunate. I never had to grow up worrying about money. I never had to worry about where my next meal was going to come from. I never had to worry about any of that. But I wish that schools would teach us the basic financial education when we were in elementary school, middle school, and high school, so more of us can have this ingrained into our minds so we understand how the 1% and the 0.1% use their money, how the majority of people use their money, and then how broke people use their money, because there's a very big difference. I want to start by talking about this, but I do want to say that my purpose of this video is not to point fingers or to judge or to make you feel bad. My goal is to come from a point of education and talk about the different ways that people spend their money. That way you can understand how wealthy people spend their money, how it might be different than what you're doing right now. That way you can potentially learn from it and use it to your advantage, because most of us are never taught this. Unless you have rich parents, you're not going to probably be taught this because schools don't teach this. So I'm coming from a point of education to help expand that mindset. So broke people, you make money, and this money can come from maybe government money, maybe it could be different side hustles, maybe it's a job, but you have this income coming in and then it's spent all on liabilities. And I'm going to also put here hope. And when I say hope, I mean these are things like lottery tickets. Maybe this is other get-rich-quick schemes because you're looking for an easy way to hit that jackpot. The interesting thing is right now we have something like 4 out of 10 Americans that don't have $400 saved up to cover an emergency. So if you have a $400 expense, 4 out of 10 Americans are going to have to go into debt to cover that expense. But the interesting thing is that people who make under $30,000 a year in the United States are spending more than $400 a year on average on just lottery tickets alone. It's a guaranteed route to being broke. I mean, you're not going to win the lottery. It's spending money on hope. You have a better chance of being hit by lightning than you do to win the lottery. But that's what people are doing, because now you're just looking for the easy way to make some money and get rich, because many times in the situation, you don't know any other option. And then you have no money left over for your savings, and you have no money left over for your investments. So you make money, whether it's from the government or a job or a side hustle, and then it all gets spent maybe it gets spent on food, maybe it gets spent on your housing, maybe it gets spent on some liabilities like luxuries because you want to have the nice stuff, and then it gets spent on the get rich quick stuff, and then you have nothing left for yourself. I know a lot of people who own convenience stores, and the whole mindset behind convenience stores is when the first of the month or the first week of the month, when those EBT cards get refueled by the government, that's when the pop, the soda, the chips, the candy, all the junk food is gonna be sold because now people have money in their card. People are gonna go spend all that money in the first week. This is like a common trend that when somebody gets an EBT card, the whole money gets spent within the first week of getting that card, and it's all on a bunch of junk. And if you're buying it from one of these convenience stores, guess what? You're also paying a premium for it because they have to have their own markup versus going to one of the bigger stores. Now, I know every one of the people that I know who owns a convenience store is gonna hate me for saying this, but this is the reality. So much money gets spent on unnecessary junk liabilities where you can start turning this around. The way it works for the majority of people is a little bit different. Now, this is what people typically call the middle class, maybe even the upper middle class, where now you work a good job, you're putting some money aside for investments, and you think you're doing everything right to become wealthy, but there's always gonna be a limit. So the way it works here is you go out and get a job. So you probably went to college, you have some degree, you went out and you got a job, and now you're working to climb the corporate ladder. As soon as you get paid, you pay your taxes, and then you go out and you spend money on liabilities. I don't know why I wrote LA, but we'll call it liabilities. And then whatever's left, you will save, and you probably have some investments with a 401k or an IRA or something similar. In this situation, you have one stream of income, which is a job, which is what we're all taught to do. We go to school to get a job. That's what we're taught. But that also means that you're just one step away from being broke. Because now if your company goes under, or if you get fired, or if you can't work anymore because you get injured, well, now you lose a stream of income, and now you have no income to fund the rest of your lifestyle. So you're one step away from being broke in this situation, and then you pay your taxes, and then you spend a big chunk of your money, and then whatever's left gets saved. Now, this 401k could be here after taxes or before taxes, depending on whether or not you have a Roth 401k or a regular 401k or a Roth IRA or a regular IRA, but this is the extent of investments for the majority of Americans. About half of Americans have no investments at all, including a 401k or an IRA, and out of the other half, the majority of those people only have a 401k or an IRA. This is for the majority of people the holy grail of becoming successful, and the way that you can maximize your success now is by earning more money from your job. Maybe you go out and get a higher degree, maybe you go out and get a promotion, that way you can earn more money, and that way you can put more money into your retirement accounts. That way you can go and become wealthy. So you have more money coming in, you can buy nicer stuff, you can have nicer liabilities, you can drive a nicer car, you can have a bigger home, you can go on better vacations, and then you can put more money into your 401k or your IRA. But what you'll see is that in this path, you will never go and become that 1% or that 0.1% because there's going to be a limit to what you can do here. For the majority of people, this is going to be somewhere between a couple or a few $100,000 and maybe a couple $1,000,000, maybe a few $1,000,000. But that's it. Then what the wealthiest people do is they earn money not from a job, but from a business that they own. And even if you're not an entrepreneur, there are ways for you to capitalize on this, which I'll go over in just a second. And then they will spend money, and then they're gonna pay taxes, and then they'll spend more personal money, and then they will continue investing. So they invest here, they invest here, they invest here. And so it's a little bit different, and you'll see why the taxes here make such a big difference than here. The wealthiest people, the wealthiest 1% and the wealthiest 0.1% are not working for a salary. They're working for ownership, they're working for equity, and they're working for profits. That's why they're not working for a salary like the majority of people. They're working for the profits from a business. Now, the first thing that you have to understand, because I know everybody watching this, hearing this is saying, well, I wasn't born with rich parents, I wasn't born with millions of dollars, somebody like me can't do this. But the reality is, the first thing you have to understand is it's a mindset shift to go from here to here to here. Okay, nobody, or I guess should say most people, most successful people are not given millions of dollars to start. Nobody gave me $1 million to go out and start a business. I was discouraged from being an entrepreneur. Nobody wanted me to do it in my family. No one in my friend circle knew what I was doing. Nobody understood what I was doing. I was made fun of a lot, but I had to learn, and it all starts with the mindset. Okay, so you have to become wealthy in the mind before you can become wealthy in your bank account. Once you build that minority mindset, you understand that it's possible, then it's understanding the differences. The reason why the minority of people, wealthy people, don't work for a salary, why they work for the profits, is because it's completely different. Because now you're not just working for your labor, you're working for ownership, you're working for equity. If you enjoyed this short clip from my longer videos, here's another clip that I think you'll love. And while you're at it, if you're interested in learning more about how to start generating passive income, our team put together an amazing guide that goes over what passive income is, how to start generating passive income, and different passive income strategies. These are things that you can start doing even if you don't have a lot of money. So if you want to read this free guide on how to start generating passive income for free, all you got to do is click that button right over there. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep hustling.